It is time for the great debate brought to you by McDonald's. Well, Dirk Nowitzki, Dwayne Wade awarded spots in the All-Star game by Commissioner Adam Silver, and they did not disappoint. Wade scoring 7 points in 10 minutes of action, had a couple memorable alley-oop connections with LeBron. Meanwhile, Dirk scoring 9 points in 4 minutes of action, sank all his three-pointers. Zero complaints, really. I mean, I did hear some, but that means that you are a poor sport, a bad person if you are complaining about them being in the All-Star game. Does it set a good precedent for future All-Star games? Bad precedent?
A great precedent.
Okay.
Because that moment, not only for the league and the PR was great, guys, but the players really seemed to enjoy themselves. I mean, I was talking to Klay Thompson afterwards, and he's like, those two guys had such an impact on everybody here because they all tried to be those guys growing up and playing on their own rim. So it was a really cool thing to see, but what was cooler was the response by their peers.
Yeah, I agree. And if you look at the reaction every time Dirk or D-Wade did something, likely it was Dirk shooting a three, the entire bench got up on both sides. D-Wade, I was just so mad. I wish we got the shot of the off-the-backboard lob, and I wish he just spread his arms and looked at the camera so we can have a throwback Thursday.
They were working on it. They really did. They talked about it before the game.
So close.
Wade was looking back. He's like, did I get it? Did I get it?
So close.
It was close. Although, okay, so I will say, as much as I loved this, I thought part of what made it special is it doesn't happen all the time.
Yes.
These are two of the greatest guys who are going to come through the league, first ballot Hall of Famers, and it's unusual to know that you're in the last year of your career. And Dirk Nowitzki hasn't said it officially, but as Adam Silver remarked on Saturday night, you cannot watch him go up and down the court in Dallas and not know that he is in the last year. I mean, Adam was kind of savage. He was like, you can't watch him without knowing he's
like,
in the last year.
This is the last one.
This is
the final straw for Dirk.
But most, I mean, the reason why this whole Dwayne Wade Last Dance thing has felt kind of special is because most guys, it doesn't happen that often. We don't get the confluence of knowing, hey, it's my last year. I know it going in. Look at what happened to Carmelo Anthony, right? You can play on a team where you can actually still play. He's at a level he can actually still play. Who would you put in next year? Like, how would this work if you did it on a regular basis?
If you didn't have a player or players, like in this case who were retiring, why don't you pick a player who is representative of that city who has had an impact on the game? Example, next season, Chicago. Why not Derrick Rose? You put Derrick Rose in the All-Star game.
I mean, fans wanted him this year.
there.
Exactly. You know he's still got the support from the NBA fan base.
Absolutely.
But if you introduce him from Chicago, Derrick Rose, the United Center explodes.
Right.
And the NBA, once again, gets a great jolt when Adam Silver made the pick. And you don't have to do it every year, but if there is that tie-in and it works, then there you go.
And you know, I'm Team Adidas, and I already talked to my Adidas people, and they're already planning to explode, especially with his legacy. But to me, I think it's a case-by-case basis. You don't have to have an honorary All-Star every year. But I do think at the tail end of these guys who are likely to be Hall of Famers years, like for instance, it would have been great to see Ray Allen in a three-point contest before he finished. Vince Carter in a slam dunk contest. Just phase them out. I would like to see that.
Carter does not have to be a legacy pick. He could be a real pick for the All-Star game. I'm just saying. Yeah, and by the way, I do want to also note this. Adam Silver revealed on Saturday night that the idea for having Dwayne Wade and Dirk Nowitzki in this year's All-Star game came from a fan, that there is a point on the NBA website, NBA.com, where you can write into the commissioner, and he said that he mostly gets complaints, but he also sometimes there's a suggestion box, and that a fan suggested it.
That's awesome.
There you go. So there you go. You go suggest to Adam Silver what you want to see next year. I want to play a little bit of LeBron James' comments after the game last night. He was already turning his focus to the Lakers and that playoff push post the All-Star weekend. Take a listen.
Looking forward to the second half of the season, and looking forward to see what we can do to get back in this playoff race. That's my only mindset. That's the only thing that's going to have my mental space for this next 2 months. Pretty much on how I can get this team, playing the type of level of basketball we were playing before my injury.
All right, they got 25 games, Nick. What do you think?
I'm not optimistic.
No?
This team has had its chances. They were never as good as they showed on Christmas against the Warriors. I don't think they're as bad as they've been without LeBron. I've watched LeBron, guys, way too often over the years to think that they have no chance because we know that he can put a team on his back and carry them. But if they go in the tank in these next 2 or 3 weeks, I think LeBron's gonna be like, you know what? I gotta make that Space Jam remake this summer. I'm good on this year. It's already a disaster.
I'm good, love. Enjoy. So I think, honestly, it's not necessarily realistic, but there is still hope. The Lakers haven't made the playoffs since 2013. And you have these young guys who have been really wilding out. They've been dead, you know, especially approaching the deadline. No one needed the break more than the Lakers in the entire association. So if you look at this team, I genuinely believe that if they focus, they still have LeBron James, as you alluded to, took a team that was very new at the trade deadline period last year, and then turned that into a finals run. Kuz was the Rising Stars MVP, 35 points in that game.
LeBron basically averaged a triple-double almost after the All-Star break last year. If we get that LeBron again, and by the way, it's not just the numbers because he's had a triple-double in the last couple games that since he came back from injury, but you know what I mean. It's the way he asserts himself. It's that whole thing, but I wouldn't count a LeBron James team out. He's got to be that LeBron James. And we saw in the game against the Pacers certainly, but also in the game against the Hawks right before the break, there were a number of times he had the opportunity to assert himself. He had Trae Young switch up on him toward the end of the game when he should have gone in for what could have been a real dagger basket. And instead, he passed out to the corner and Brandon Ingram. And I think, I don't know if it's tentativeness with the groin injury. It's the worst injury of his career.
I think that's what Scottie Pippen's watching. But that might be just it, though.
Right? I mean, Scottie has been critical of that, and I think it just depends, and maybe it is. Look, I mean, it's the worst injury he's ever had. I understand kind of being ginger and getting back, but if he's that way now after the break, they won't make it.
What a disaster, though, for the Lakers. This is a team that thought they were making a big push with all these young guys.
They were fourth before he got hurt.
But all of a sudden, what we've learned in the last couple months is that all those young guys aren't good enough to be the core of a title team. And when you play with LeBron, you aren't trying to squeeze into the 7 or 8 slot. You're trying to build for a title, and they're not good enough.
They have proved they're not good enough to be, forget the core of a title team, good enough to be the 8th seed in the playoffs. And again, everybody knows, as you said, what team did he take to the finals last year? If you look at that core, are we suddenly, I know the Eastern Conference, Western Conference is different, but are we thinking if that team went to the finals, this team can't even get to the playoffs if that happens? What's it going to say, as you said, about those?
And the Kings and the Clippers will have something to say about it.
It's going to say Space Jam. That's what it's
Anthony Davis says all 29 teams are on his trade list. Does that mean he's warming up to the idea of Boston? We will talk about that specifically next. First, though, here's a distant replay. It's this date in 2011. Check it.
Because he put in the work. He has those great veterans around him. Yes. Oh, my goodness. Get it!
Oh, that one was nice.
Just started, baby, on that play right there.
Little rookie-sophomore game action.
Hopefully he shows us something here. Let's see. Okay. Oh, gosh. Now, Ibaka, he should have...
Your hand has to hurt after that one.
James,
baby beard.